Kansas City to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline podcast.
The Switch is on, Battleline podcast, and if you're hearing this as it goes live, it is New Year's Eve. I hope 2024 was absolutely awesome for you, and I hope 2025 is even better. If 2024 sucked, then I hope this is a better year. You know, it's different for everyone. I could say on the podcast we've had some extraordinary guests, so I decided let's do a best of 2024 episode while I'm away, while Chris is away, but just to give you guys some stuff to listen back to and to remember really a great year of guests, I have to say. I picked 5 of them. Very hard to narrow it down to 5, but these were 5 of my favorites, some that got the most plays, and also just, people we personally liked the most. Before we get into it, Ned is a part of this podcast, and it's been a while since I've told you guys about Mellow Magnesium, one of their best products. With over 700 5-star customer reviews, Ned's Mellow Magnesium is an instant hit. Nourish your entire body with Ned's proprietary super blend with 3 forms of chelated magnesium, GABA, L-theanine, and over 70 trace minerals. It propels memory, mood, brain function, stress response, nerve and muscle health, and sleep. And about 75% of Americans are deficient in it. So if you've tried everything else and you can't get a good night's sleep, magnesium is an excellent natural supplement to take. And we trust everything that Ned puts out. They're just a great brand, great people. They really stand behind everything they put out there. And I've tried practically everything they've ever put out, and they've never steered me down the wrong path. Ned's Mellow Magnesium is available on Amazon, but you'll get the best deal through us as a first-time customer when you go to helloned.com/Battleline, or just to add the code Battleline at checkout. That's HELLONED.com/Battleline, helloned.com/Battleline. All right, Lee Greenwood was awesome on the show. I'll be completely honest. With Lee being in his 80s, and I heard he was doing interviews all day, we were either the last one or one of the last ones he was doing. I figured, I almost felt bad for the guy, I should say. I just figured, does he really want to be doing this at this age, to be doing all these interviews? He could be laying back on a beach somewhere, and he's on Zoom talking to us. And I was more than pleasantly surprised, because not only was he a great interview, but it also just goes to show you that whole old adage of age is nothing but a number, because Lee had more energy during that interview than I did, and he was so enthusiastic to tell his story. And yeah, I was blown away. Great guy. I've been a fan of his for many years, and so it was such an honor and a privilege to speak with him, and he promoted out our stuff, which is really appreciated. This is one of the craziest stories you're going to hear about a close encounter he had while performing for the troops. This is going to blow you away.
So the similarity is Donald Trump playing God Bless USA for his campaign. Never asked me. I never said he could or could not. He just did it.
And you're okay with that. I'm okay with it.
Perfectly okay with it. I'm just saying, because, you know, our very first song was not intended to be a single, and someone else made the choice. I didn't ask Donald Trump to play God Bless USA. It was just his choice. So you see the similarity in what God's moving here? Exactly. And that's what I believe as a man of faith. I believe that God is moving this. He saved Donald Trump from assassination. He's put him in the position of the president of the United States again for the next 4 years. We're going to straighten this dang country out, man. We're going to stop the immigration. We're going to stop wars around the world. everything's going to be kumbaya pretty quick here.
Well, me and Ian are in agreement. I mean, I say we are both. We both voted for Trump, and I don't know Ian, but I'm a supporter. And actually,
yeah, no, I did.
you can tell, and I tell people, you know what, he has outspoken this, but it's nothing that a bullet doesn't humble you a little bit when somebody shoots, and you can tell there's some
Oh, I'll
humility
bet.
there now, and that's what I like because I really, you know, I was man, I like what he does, but just God, you just got to find some humility. And he's still outspoken. But dang, I'll tell you what, when a bullet goes whipping by your ear, and I tell you from experience, and it missed mine. It humbles the living heck out of you. And
Well, I'll give you
it
my
did.
story, Chris. President Bush 41 called me in my office in Nashville, and he said, and he's on a personal phone call with me, and he said, "I want you to go to Panama, and I want you to put on 4 shows for my troops. We've already taken out the dependents, and he said we're going to take Noriega out."
Oh, this was
So,
before Just Cause. You weren't there. What year was this?
yep.
I mean,
Can't put the year.
Just Cause was 1989. That's when the actual mission happened.
So it was 2 years before that.
Okay.
A year and a half
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah.
Maybe not even that long.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 months. So I go down there and we land, and the band gets in a Chinook, and they go into the first location. There we put on 4 shows in 4 locations across the Panama Canal. I have a letter for 200 Marines in the jungle, and I have a sergeant in a Jeep, and we take off into the jungle in the Jeep, and we come under fire. And the bullets are whizzing through us. And yes, I had three or four of them go right past my face.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it took my driver's finger off, his index finger on the wheel. So I
Yeah.
grabbed it and put a tourniquet on it so it wouldn't bleed out.
Yeah.
And
This
and
is
we
an
outran
amazing
them.
story. Wow.
So we outran them, and we got to the compound, and the Marines suddenly went out there, and it was like
Yeah,
6 or 8 guys, just rogues. They were running out in the jungle shooting the shit.
Of course.
And so they take him. So I go to the hospital. I visit him later before we left Panama, and he gets honorably discharged because of the loss of a finger.
Yep.
So fast forward, you'll love this. Fast forward like 20 years maybe, and we're doing a show in Ohio, and my road manager comes to me before my show, and he says, "There's a guy out here who wants to meet you." And he said he said he was former military, and he said he was your driver in Panama. I said, "Is he missing a finger?" He said, "Yes." And so he comes back, and certainly he got out of the military, he got married, he went to work for the CIA, and he's still working with the CIA and has a family. And if, talk about a close encounter like you had in Benghazi, a close encounter with life. And yet you can look back that and kind of muse at this point, but it was pretty tense at the moment.
Well, it's a life-changing experience. We all go, God puts us through all these experiences to learn from or get something from. And obviously you did, and to make an effect on someone, because you found that he finds you that many years later just to see. And hey, can I actually, I never knew that happened. I don't know if Ian did. Did
No,
you know
I had
that?
no idea.
Holy
It's an
crap.
amazing story.
That is
It was
an
not in the
amazing
news. We didn't put it in the news.
When
I believe it because it's you. I mean, like if Hillary Clinton told the story, I'd say this is far-fetched.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, that was from episode 267. If you want to go back in the archives and check it out, Lee Greenwood. This next clip was from another recent episode, DJ Dallas. How cool is it that we had a professional, active NFL player on the show, DJ Dallas of the Cardinals, who's truly a patriot, and as you'll hear in this clip, he's unapologetically himself.
You're doing all right. I can look on your wall behind you. I know those things. You're doing just fine, my man.
Is that what you splurged on when you got your first big check?
Did you buy? Yeah, what AR did you buy when you got your first big check, man?
The first big one?
Oh, wow. Okay. This is an exclusive here.
You gotta see
The
it.
Nikes, the SR25.
Yeah. Oh, you got an SR20. Oh, wow. Is that a Nemo Arms or what is
No.
that? Who
No,
made?
that's just the SR25 from Nikes.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, nice arm. Yeah. No, good
Yeah.
stuff. That's what Boone was zapping up people with that night. Those SR25s those are badass weapons, man. That's tricked out. That looks nice, man.
Yeah, heck yeah. But that's the first thing I got, and then I think the second thing that I got was I just bought some Nas and stuff. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude. And I got some Vipers from Photonis Defense, and Yeah, you see how he says, Ian, DJ says it nonchalantly. Those things ain't cheap either, man.
No, I
I
know
got
that.
me
I
a bike
know.
there,
I know
and
with Photonis being a
they
sponsor. Yeah.
yeah, but aren't they fun though? Man, nods are so fun. They're so fun, so
Yeah.
fun.
But is that like a culture shock to other guys that you play with because they're from all over the country, in some cases out of the country? Like when you think of the first big check, guys probably splurge on like jewelry, a car. They're not thinking firearms.
Yeah. I think I'm like, there's one other guy that's like me, and that's my dog sneezing in behind me. But there's one other guy like me. It's not a lot of us in the
Well, and
NFL.
I was going to ask you. I wanted to kind of go into that. Shit, sorry.
What's
Everybody
going
was
on
not
here?
kicking stuff around. That's what we got. Professionalism here to the utmost, right here, because I'm stuck in my house. But I wanted to ask you about that because it is, you know, the way, and it shouldn't be this way because when I was growing up, it wasn't this way. When I used to watch Tony Dorsett or Roger Staubach, or even growing up before, you watched the Joe Montanas and the Jerry Rices. There was a lot of patriotism still in the NFL. I thought, I mean, that's why I enjoyed being around the football field and being with my dad and growing up around. Yeah, growing up, Jim McMahon was supposed to be this. You know, he was supposed to be the bad boy back in the day, and you know, he's docile compared to a lot of these guys that are in the NFL now. And he was a wonderful. He was great to me as a kid growing up. But do you see that in the NFL, or is it just a stereotype that professional sports aren't as patriotic as it once was, or that you know the 2A community isn't I don't know, isn't part of
Accepted or yeah.
accepted. Thank you, because yeah, you don't see a lot of people on Instagram that are in the professional sports like you see on your page, where they're out going and you know running lanes and learning how to shoot and training and playing with nods. I mean, I still don't know if that's a stereotype and that's just what we're supposed to see, or if that's actually accurate.
I think it's a lot of different things, right? I think it's guys care about what deals they can get from
Sure. Yeah,
you know Nike or Adidas or what have you, right? I don't care about that. I don't that doesn't attract me. So I'm like I told Ian, I'm unapologetically me. So I'm gonna do what I want to do when I want to do it, how I want to do it. I don't care if they tell me like you need to stop posting guns on your Instagram page or you're not gonna get any sponsors for this thing, or you need to stop posting guns because this company doesn't like it. I don't care. I don't care. So I'm gonna do it regardless.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
Another thing I think it is that how can I say this? Sports and politics, to me, a lot of people try to use sports and like to further an agenda.
Yeah,
right?
but the military's like that too now. It's more like that than it ever was, and it shouldn't be like that. The military's like that as well.
They're trying to push a certain agenda or certain narrative that that this 3-letter league is this way or this 3-letter league is that way. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of that going on. And then, like I said, it's not a lot of us. It's not a lot of guys that actually care about that red, white, and blue for real. It's not a lot.
And you do. I watch the sidelines, and I'll follow you. And there are many. There's more than there used to be. I'll say that it has improved than back when the kneeling was going and all that. And I don't want to get into that. But you know, seeing a guy stand there with his hand over his heart as attention, you do it. I see the picture. It's awesome. You post pictures of it. You don't see guys doing that, and that is to me is amazing. That takes a lot of guts where you're at, and it's again. I think it's better than it once was, but it's still not to that point, and it's shameful because when we're overseas and we're deployed, what reminds us of home is turning the TV on at 2 a.m. in the morning on AFN and watching football. Watch it. We don't want politics. We don't. You know. I'm not saying you can't have politics if you play sports, and you can't have politics if you're in the military. But don't bring it to the living room because it's supposed to bring people together. I'm telling you, the NFL at that time, like, guys, why are you doing that? Because now you're taking home away from us when we're away, and that's because it's not even the game. I'm not a Bears fan, but I'll watch the Bears all night overseas because it reminds me of sitting in my living room.
No
And
doubt.
that's the shame of it all is that
No
that
doubt.
politics, those ideologies have taken that away. And it's taken some of the memories, the good memories of I have overseas, watching with my boys in Kandahar. You know, sitting in Kandahar and watching a football game with the boys after coming back from an op just to feel normal. But that's kind of taken away from us because that memory is kind of sullied now because now it's the NFL has to take a side where it's like, nah, you don't have to take any side. The side is America's side. Just you're making people happy just by having the game on. You reminded me of sitting with my father. You reminded me of sitting with the guys overseas, and when they have the political agenda on it, it takes that great memory away. And I have great memories of being overseas. And you getting up this morning? It's 2 a.m. Man, the football game's on. Shit, man. All right, let's get up and watch it. And we'll get up and watch the game, and then go back to for another to bed for a couple hours, and then we'll put the gear on and we'll go out. But that's what motivates us to keep us going. And I think a lot in the NFL, especially up top, they don't see that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad people like yourself do, because that's what's bringing it back, is like yourself. But
and I think
anyway, that's my soapbox, bro. That's my soapbox.
No, I'm agreeing with you, bro. I think when I hear that, like I'm doing my job. You know what I mean? Like for me, like you know how you say, like when you were overseas and you could watch a game, like if you see me with my hand over my heart, and you know, you can't really hear me saying I appreciate you, but when you see me put my hand over my heart, you know that I appreciate you. I appreciate you sitting in whatever freaking place you're sitting in right now, dealing with whatever you're dealing with. Like, I appreciate that.
And that's what we feel. Man, that's awesome, because that's what we feel. That's exactly what we feel when the Star Spangled Banner's playing and you see a row of football players in their uniforms. You know, and it looks like a military. It does. It's like military. It reminds you, sitting in uniforms, and they're all like this at attention, and they don't even be at attention, just paying attention to the flag. And because I can't say every time the Stars and Stripes played when I was playing ball in my uniform that I was at attention, but I was always like this. And it does mean that. It's like, oh, this is why we're here, because the colors and the atmosphere, and that's America. And I don't want to take it away.
God, dang, the flyover was crazy this past weekend. It was nice. We were in Miami. Our flyover was nice. It was.
What did you have this weekend? What was going on? What was it for?
They just did a flyover, man. It was sick. It was sick. I told my buddy, like, while the anthem was playing, I'm like, bro, I could hear the planes coming. He's like, how can you even hear that? Just give it a couple seconds, bro. They're gonna fly over. Watch this, and they come forward and pass.
That is cool. Yeah,
it's so cool to hear the appreciation for it too, because I spoke about this with Rain Waters, who's a pilot on the show. And obviously, I'm not trying to pit you against other people who work for the NFL, because I don't even remember off the top of my head who the commentator was. But like, you probably remember a couple of years ago, there was a commentator caught on a hot mic saying, "Those are your tax dollars hard at work as the flyover happened." And it's just like, I mean, it is something that should be appreciated.
No doubt. No doubt. I'll pay taxes for that anytime.
That was DJ Dallas. If you want to listen back to the full episode, it's episode 264. This next episode is a guy that I really am honored and privileged to now say is a personal friend. We got him on the show because I reached out to him on Instagram, and I knew he was here in New York, Holocaust survivor, and is extremely outspoken when it comes to telling his story, but also his support for Israel, unapologetic support for Israel. And he's also an IDF veteran. Great guy. I really love what this man stands for. And he's someone I've hung out with, truthfully, since doing the podcast. And I will definitely spend more time with as well. Because Sammy just lives on his own, and he's on a mission to tell his story and to educate the youth about the Holocaust. This is a crazy story about how he was experimented on as a baby. You need to hear this. So I want to make sure, because we're going to get into a lot of stuff here, but most importantly, for years now, this is what you do. As you said to me on the car ride here, you said, this is your words, you said, I don't have a social life. I just go out and I want to educate the young people about what happened to me in the Holocaust. As you said, you don't even charge anybody. You will go out and speak anywhere. So I think first and foremost, we got to get into your story of being a Holocaust survivor and what happened. And as I said, there's so few of you left that it's such an honor to have you here.
Okay.
And you're one of the younger guys that we have. So
Okay. So it will be a little bit long.
go for it. Let's hear it.
Okay. So I was born in a city that was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The area where I was born was called Bukovina. And Bukovina was given to Romania. My mother and I were born in Chernovitz, in Bukovina, but my father was born in Romania proper. We were deported by the Romanians, not by the Germans. Because I was so young, only a year and a half, obviously I could not work, did not have the strength, the skills. And if you will ask any survivor, how come you're alive today? Everybody will use only one word, luck. My luck was that I was never separated from my parents. Secondly, they found use of me, and I was subjected to medical experiments. The side effects, I felt them every single second, not day, second, and will feel them for the rest of my life. You look at me, you will never see it on my face. You'll never know it.
What medical experiments, if you could touch on it?
Well, obviously, they did not come to my parents and tell them this is what you did to your son. Okay, they don't know, I don't know. However, I suffered from head, neck, shoulders, and back. Today, because of my age, by the way, in December, I will be 85.
Congrats.
I'm starting to enjoy the benefits of growing old. So I have other issues not related, okay, to the experiment.
So you were all those ailments you had all your entire life, from a young child all the way up to
Correct.
now that. Okay, wow.
Okay,
All right.
and because they couldn't see it on my face,
Sure.
like for instance, a back problem, there are no tests for it. So they look at you how painful it is at your face. Even the doctors did not believe me. I found out that I was subjected to medical experiments only in 1971, but I'll tell you more about it later. So in my particular case, they could not find a cure because I'm suffering from head, neck, shoulders, and back. I don't know where it starts. I don't know where it goes, how long it will be there. And it also depends on the strength. It can be extreme or it can be mild. Every single second of my life, on the average, my pain level is 3 and 4. Okay. The third part that I'm alive today is because not far away from the camp, there was a farm owned by Germans. And she brought food to the guards in the SS. So obviously, she had access to go wherever she wanted in the camp. After they finished with the medical experiments, came a stage that I was dying of starvation, and there are physical signs: big head, swollen stomach, swollen feet.
Yeah.
And when she saw the physical signs that I'm dying of starvation, not only at the risk of her life, but at the risk of her entire family's life, she decided to give me milk. Possibly more, but I don't know. I did not ask my father. Okay, so I'm just using milk. But I'm quite sure that it was more than that. I do not know the name of the woman that saved my life, so I was not able to honor her. But 10 years ago, I went to Israel to give testimony at Yad Vashem. For the audience, if they don't know about Yad Vashem, is the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. And next to the museum, there is a garden honoring 27,000 people that saved Jews. And I saw a marker honoring the unknown righteous among the nations. And that made me very happy, okay, because indirectly, the woman that saved my life, okay, has been honored.
Wow. Amazing story from Sammy there. That's from episode 262 if you want to listen back to the whole thing, which I strongly suggest you do. Before we go on to two of our really great in-studio interviews that we did, in addition to Sammy, who was in studio, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammo that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. You could check them out in every state, but you're going to get the best deal through us when you go to fsm.com and use the promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to our listeners, fsm.com. Promo code Battleline for 15% off select products on the site. All right, Kirk Spradley, who is an old friend of Tonto's, decided to go all the way in studio, which I was truly honored by. We've had him on the show twice this year, but this was actually his first appearance earlier on in the year, which did awesome. We have certain clips on there that are just getting an insane amount of views, and I love doing the in-studio stuff. This was a clip that many of you loved, talking about Juba, the deadliest sniper.
There's a guy named AJ Pesiuti. He's a Force Recon guy. And I can show you later if you're interested. You know, we talked a few weeks ago, but he's the guy that went and found, the Marine said, look, you've got to kill this sniper. Do whatever it takes. And it took a couple of years. He found him and he killed him. And the guy's name was Juba. Juba was there that, AJ believes there's a very high percentage it was Juba. So Tommy and I are in the tower, and I was the limo driver. And the reason I bring that up is because we were only supposed to be there for 30 minutes. Well, nothing ever goes according to plan, especially in Ramadi. And there were a lot of attack indicators. Okay. And again, I learned so much, man. It was a horrible day, but I learned so much. And I began to recognize attack indicators, certainly after that day. There's just so much, man. I mean, little guys, guys moving in groups. I mean, just all these little things. So in the afternoon, probably around 2:00 or so, we had been in the tower for several hours, and we were only supposed to be there for 30 minutes. Tommy is looking to the north, and he's got plenty of cover. I mean, this motherfucker was good, brother. I'm just telling you as a guy who's on the receiving end of Juba, the motherfucker was good, man. He was good. And I was looking to the east. I heard kind of a crack. I didn't know quite what it was. I kind of thought it might be rifle fire, but I didn't know exactly because it was kind of like, it seemed a lot closer than the other cracks. And I saw a puff of smoke, which wound up being the rifle, the bullet coming towards Tommy and creating a shockwave and knocking the dust off the sandbag he was leaning against. I mean, he put a fucking round into a window about this big. Not a window, but a area.
A mouse hole. It was like a little mouse hole.
Yeah.
A little.
And so I saw the little dust, and Tommy fell over, and I'm looking at Tommy, and he's looking at me. He's got like this red thing in his hair. Now this was blood splatter. It wasn't the bullet. He had binos, and the bullet went into his wrist and then into his neck, and it was an instant. He was instantly killed. And I'm looking at him like, I'm trying to make sense of what's going on. Well, at that exact moment, obviously Juba is like, well, fuck, here's number two, man. So he's glassing me. And Paul Fondren, I owe this guy my life. He was coming up into the tower at that exact moment, and he saw it. And he had seen this before. I honestly, I just couldn't put it all together. And he goes, "Sniper, get down." And as I dove for cover, man, a crack went over my head. Now, talking to AJ Pesiuti, I don't butchering his fucking name. We talked on the phone for about an hour. He watched the video, and I think Juba killed somewhere around 100 Americans in his career. He said, I'm the only person that Juba ever missed.
Wow.
He was. You guys can search it. He was.
Yeah.
Was he officially AQI at that time, Juba, or was he with another organ? Was he one of? I can't remember if he was one of Sauter's guys or if he was actually Zarqawi's guys.
I don't think he was Sauter's guy, because Sauter was a Shia guy. And Zarqawi was Sunni, and this was Ramadi, all Sunni. So I think he was a Sunni guy. And I think in the movie, I think it was American Sniper, they pegged him as a Syrian Special Forces guy, and he may have been. But we heard Chechen. I mean, there's just so many rumors. Nobody could really figure out who this guy was. And
at that time too, there were still those Chechens were, and they were bad. Chechens, those guys were bad. I never got that scared feeling from looking at the terrorists. So they were from Iraq but man, when you see those white dudes with those beards and those eyes that look like shark eyes, I know those. I mean, it was those. Okay, it's like when I see a snake. I don't like snakes. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill it. That's how I don't like, because I'm that scared that's gonna hurt me. It's the same thing. I saw those Chechens when I wanted to run away, but it was like that cold feeling of. And that's one thing too. I was going to ask you was, I guess you just answered it. Was Juba Chechen? Because was he Syrian? Was he Chechen? To me, that's a big deal. Maybe nobody else, but to me, I always wanted to know that.
I know there were Chechens operating there, but Juba, I believe, was he was definitely an Arab, and I'll have to ask AJ. He's running for office out there, so I know he's busy. Oh, wow. But we talked on the phone for like an hour. But he's on a podcast called Combat Story, and it's a couple hours long. Okay. But he's on there, and he tells the whole background of how all this happened. But he watched every single kill video, and when he got I say my kill, it wasn't, I was in the video, and he was like, "Hey man, you're the only person he's ever missed." And I'm just like, "Holy fuck, man."
It's probably like the opposite feeling of where you said, where you're saying, "Is God angry with me?"
Oh,
and you're probably like, "It's God has something planned for me."
Say something planned for me, yeah.
So what when it happened, Brian? When you got did you get it together, or did you just have to go into the habits and you just started moving? And when did somebody start returning fire, or did anybody? Because that's always been the fog of war. Did you guys? We're like, did they return fire? What the hell happened? The military. I'm sure the military started coming in. What happened after? I always wanted to know that. Get the story from you that was on the ground.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, and I'm not proud of it, man. But it's my story. I dove for cover, man, and I didn't move. I was fucking frozen. I knew that there was somebody out there who was glassing me. The Marines started. Paul got on the radio, said, Tommy's down, Bama's hit. He's, and the team leader's like, is he wounded? He goes, he's dead, man. He's fucking dead. And then the whole place just, after about 10 seconds or 5 seconds, you start because there's about 30 Marines there, and there's like, I think about 12 of us. So it's like, hey man, there's a fucking attack coming, man. Just start fucking killing anything doesn't look like us. And everybody started opening up, man. Machine guns, belt feds, 40 millimeters. I think later someone called in Cass. They never dropped that I saw, but the Hornets showed up, man. It was just fucking nuts, man, for 45 minutes. They called in the QRF, but they were 45 minutes away. And I'm just laying there, man, and I'm looking at Tommy, and I just can't fucking figure it out, man. I'm just like, he can't be dead. We were just talking, man. And I put my hand on him, man, and he was still warm. And I was just like, hey, man, you wanted fucking war, bro. This is war, And I instantly regretted wanting war. But the fight wasn't over, man. You got to get and it took a lot, man. I'm telling you, man, it took a lot out of me to get my shit together, but it's like, hey, we could die here. Okay, wow. Tommy's dead. This is fucked up, but get your fucking head out of your ass, man. Start fucking moving. And, these Marines came up in the tower, man, and they look like children, man. They look like fucking little kids, and they assess him. And the gunfire was just so loud. You couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could read their mouth. They looked at me and they're like, I'm sorry. We can't help him. He's gone. And I just kind of shook my head like, hey, man, thanks. And they ran back out and got in the gunfight. The team leader was pretty sure we were going to be overrun because the QRF was 45 minutes away. So he's like, drivers, get back to your vehicles. We're getting the fuck out of here. And I was a limo driver, and I knew there was a high, I had the only sedan. Everyone else was in an SUV. So I knew the likelihood of me getting hit with an RPG or IED was pretty great. But it's like, man, hey man, you fucking wanted to be here. Here you are, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
It's your job, dude.
It's your job, man. So you get in there, and I'm just like, fuck, man. Goddamn, here we go. Think you're training. Just do the right thing, man. Just these guys are, everyone's fighting it out, man. I saw a Marine, and I have so much sympathy for this individual because I knew I had been that guy 10 minutes before. He was panicked and frozen. Rounds are going all around. And what I should have done was run over. And that's what I should have done. I should have ran over and grabbed him. But I was in the car. And again, I wish I would have gone and grabbed him. But I opened the door and I was like, hey man, get up and come to me. You gotta move, man. You gotta move. And he starts running towards me, and he gets behind the car. He runs inside the building, and I never saw him again. But what I should have done is I should have got my shit together, ran over there, and grabbed him. And man, it's fucking scary, man. Like I wish I could tell you, man. Hey, I threw hand grenades and fucking went over there with a K-bar and stabbed 50 people. But the reality is, man, I was scared out of my fucking mind, man. Finally, I was like, okay, look, we're not going anywhere. I need to get in the fucking gunfight. So I started crawling through the car, and it's called shooting from the V. You open up a car, and there's this like little gap as the door opens, and you'll call it the V, and you're shooting from the V. And I just started looking for targets, man, and I saw a guy. I was like, holy fuck, man, there he is. There's the enemy. Is this the guy? I don't know, but fucking he's definitely the bad guy, and I aim in on him. First time in my life I've ever looked at another human being with a rifle like I'm about to fucking kill a guy. And I pulled the trigger. Nothing. He kept coming. He didn't explode. He didn't yell. It was like, well, fuck that. Well, this is a shitty fucking gun. You know what I mean? Like
the gun's fire.
You know what I mean? I mean, you see these movies where these dudes do all these crazy backflips and shit. And it's like, I know I hit the guy. He just kept coming, man. And, so I aim in on him again. I go to pull the trigger, and it's like, click. Well, what had happened was I didn't listen to anybody because I was too fucking smart, and I'm too cool, and I'm the recon guy, and I had a double magazine thing. And all the dev group guys were like, don't fucking use that. It's fucking worthless. I was like, I need ammo. They're like, don't fucking do it. Well, it's too heavy. So as I crawled through the vehicle, it started coming out. So I only got one round off, and then the magazine fell. So now I'm sitting there in the worst gunfight of my life with my dick in my hand, right? I'm like, okay, goddamn, get your shit together. So I pulled one off off my vest, put it in there, and he's there. There he is again, right? And I'm like, okay, fuck, I'm gonna get this motherfucker, man. So I probably shot him about 3 or 4 times, and then he goes down, and I'm like, holy fuck, man, I just killed the enemy. Holy shit. And then my brain starts getting, because you're target fixated at this point, my brain starts kind of coming back. And I see Hoser on the left, and he's shooting at him. And then I see Donkey on the right, and Donkey's shooting at him. I'm like, did I shoot him? Did they shoot him? Did none of us shoot? Because everybody was just, it was like, holy shit. It was like, the World War II movies, bro. It was just like, jets and shit. It was crazy, man. It was a crazy fucking day. May 10th, 2005. I'll never forget that place. But, so, man, who knows if I even, but in my mind, at least, I was like, okay, well, I killed the enemy, or I
got your
tried to
stuff together.
Yeah, I got my shit together and got in the fight.
That was Kirk Spradley, KG Spradley. His book is available now, War Junkie. Please pick it up. You can also listen back to that first episode he did with us, episode 220. Now, I'm wrapping things up with the most highly anticipated guest that we had on early in the year, none other than the man who played Chris Peranto in 13 Hours, Pablo Schreiber. I have been trying to get this guy on since we started the podcast in 2019, reached out a few times unsuccessfully, and earlier this year he said, heck yeah, man, I'll come on. And it was such an honor to finally meet him in studio. This is Pablo Schreiber on Becoming Tonto for 13 Hours.
The doppelganger.
Exactly.
It's Tonto Jr.
I don't know. We should
little Tonto. Should we call me Little Tonto?
I am the Little Tonto. You are the freaking monstrous. Have you not seen yourself in the freaking on the new?
I apologize for that.
On Halo. Oh my gosh, dude, Halo. I'm like, dude, what is? I remember the first time they told me that hey, Pablo's going to play in the, and I was ecstatic because I knew Pablo from The Wire. I knew him from Orange Is the New Black and stuff. That was bad, dude. You were so demented in that, but I remember that was how I pictured you. This frumpy guy, no calves,
mustache
nothing
man,
going. Like, oh my gosh, there's no way.
How are we going to put him in the short shorts?
Well, dude, that's what I was saying.
How are we going to put him in my running shorts? Yeah, that's what Chris was thinking.
You better be doing some push-ups. And then I saw him. And then the first time I saw him, it was in New Jersey. I I was in New Jersey, we went to the gym. Somebody stole my wallet, but it was okay. It was still fun hanging out with you. That wasn't you, no? And dude, I was like, holy shit. This dude, people are going to think I'm a freaking monster. So now they're all disappointed every time they meet me. They're thinking I'm like 6'3".
Yeah, but you're bigger in the movies.
That's exactly.
Did you get that?
How many times I've got that? You sure look bigger in the movies.
Well, if nothing else, I'm glad I got to come on the show today to apologize for the years of torture you've gotten at my expense.
Now, you know that in the movie still wouldn't be relevant if it wasn't for you out there. You know, you, and kudos to John Krasinski as well. He's out there still. That's why the movie still stays. Actually, I'm sure people wanted to bury it at certain times, but it was so well done. And you guys still are doing amazing things that it's like, well, I guess that's Hollywood. That's how it works. You know, actors are still want to show good projects that they've done before, and that makes the new projects more marketable. Am I sounding smart there for a second?
Oh, shit.
That came out of my mouth.
Ideas together. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, dude, the movie was what it was because it was based on your real experiences, as you know. And that's why it was touching, and that's why people responded to it, and that's why people continue to respond to it. So anything that we did to add to bringing awareness to it and bringing your story to life, because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're storytellers. So anything that we did that contributed to bring that to screen, we're, proud to have that association. And I'm just fucking happy to see you, to be honest.
Dude, you did. Every time I watch, I mean, seriously, I love you. I really do. I do. Because every time, like, man, Paul just put his heart and soul in it. Every time I watch it, I still so stop making me cry. And I still watch it at least once or twice a year. It'll pop up on Pluto. We don't, out here in the sticks, we don't have cable. So we got internet TV. So I got Pluto, and it's always on, or Paramount Plus. And man, it's like, man, Paul is just, Michael Bay did a good job, but it's like, man, and it always reminds me. So thank you. So let's get that out of the way. Thank you for doing such a wonderful job in portraying my dumb ass.
No, dude, thank you. The real game here for viewers is going to be to guess where Tonto cries in 13 hours, right?
I think you've actually said it on the show.
The obvious one is the Jumbo scene. That's the obvious one where people would think that Tonto would cry. But I'm gonna guess something a little more out there, and I'm gonna guess is when Tonto has to break up with them all. That's where he really cries.
That's
where I break up with that guy.
Hey, and people realize I talked to it was a Dimmitt. Maybe you ad-libbed that, because that wasn't in the script. Yeah, no, didn't you ad-lib that?
Dude, most of your shit is ad-libbed. Most of your best lines are mine.
That's awesome. Wait, so Chris, I think you said it.
Touche again. The truth comes out, man. Bob basically just made everything his own, and Tonto is a boring bag of shit.
No. No, that's not the point. The point is that you, amongst that group of guys, you were the cut up. You were the guy that, the big mouth. The funny guy, right?
To answer that question, Chris, because I think you did say it on the show before, where is the part that you usually you cry at?
At the end, where the Jumbo scene. Yeah,
so that was the one you said.
It was big crane shot. That's obvious. I was being silly about breaking up with them all.
The mall was fun. I laugh at that too, because it really was. I did love. It reminded me of when. It reminded me of when they brought the drinks up, and I was just trying to chill out at it. But that scene, because it was like holy shit. Wow. I let it all go for a second. Yeah. And then I had to get it back together. It's like, okay, well, we're still here. I mean, this movie doesn't go into that, but after it's like, okay, get your shit together. We still got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, dude, that was amazing. Now, man. And, just knowing Pablo and getting to meet him and hang out, I can just tell the personalities. Yeah, the sizes obviously physically are different. He's a monster. I'm little monster. I'm a little guy still, a little older, but he had that in him. You play a stoic character, and a lot of times you do play stoic characters or mean motherfuckers in movies, but you're a funny dude. You're hilarious. You are a cut up.
Well, that's, I was really happy to get to flex that muscle, and do that in this project. And it's a credit to Bay too. Like what I was getting into there is saying that that was your role amongst those group of guys, So, and it was obvious when we met you that, you're a guy who likes to make people laugh. You're a guy who likes and one of the things also that I noticed, and I think, Bay was interested in, is the idea of, you guys and people in military situations in general using humor to relieve stress, to break up tension, right? And I think it's one of the things that he did really well in that movie is establish tension, right? With the sort of the quiet scenes, waiting on the roof, what's going to happen. The threat is right out there, but you can't see it and you're just waiting for it to come. And then diffusing that tension with humor. And I got lucky in the sense that, Chris was that in that group of guys. So that's what I was asked to do. And when I said the thing about, most of your lines were ones that I made up, I say that in this, not to brag that I made the line up, but to say that to Bay's credit actually is like, that's what he was looking for. You know what I mean? Yeah. He wanted me to have the freedom to be able to find the moment and use humor to defuse tense situations, right? And to his credit, there was a lot of room for that. A lot of the stuff in the movie was stuff that I was just reacting to in the moment, right? Like the guy who, when we get to the gate and there's the guy who can barely speak English, right? That was literally just an actor who could not speak English. And I was like looking at this guy like, you fucking hired somebody who doesn't even speak the language to do a scene with me? And so the look on my face when I'm just like, what the fuck did you just say? Like that's all happening in the moment, and that wasn't a line like in the movie. I was just like, what the fuck did you just say?
And that's what worked out perfect.
And it makes the movie, it's one of the biggest laughs of the movie, right?
Well, and that's exactly what happened. That's exactly right. It's like, that's why I got, because that's how I was in real time going. So, are you fucking kidding? Who are you calling? Are you shitting me? In my head, I might put a bullet in this guy's head. Yeah. For real. Yeah. You're calling who? That's why it just worked. Yeah. So when people ask me how the movie, I was like, dude, Pablo just 100%, because everything was spot on, even the stuff that may not have been the script, because it was exactly how I felt and what I was thinking. And that's the magic in how I always speak highly of you. I speak highly because you get it, you understand it, and it just takes you a second. And because you are an intelligent person, and I'm not trying to suck you off, Brad, you're an extremely smart person, but you understand that, and you'll see that in just meeting me for a couple hours, and you're like, okay, I got it. And you were able to run with it and get those feelings down. Yeah. A lot of actors, they can get the lines, right, but they can't get that emotion. The feeling, and you did. You got it.
And they awesome. Put us in the situations that created and all of those responses. You know what I mean? Like hiring this guy, it wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't like an intention for Bay to hire somebody who was just terrible at English, right? But he put me in a situation where I'm talking to someone that I can't even fucking understand, right? And that elicited the same response that Chris was having in dealing with that real life situation.
Yeah,
right?
that's perfect.
And dealing with those guys that we pulled up, like the guys off the street, like come on with us. Yeah. Whatever. And those were extras from the movie set, right? Like guys who they had no training. They didn't go through our military training with the SEALs. They didn't go through any of that shit. They're just guys they pulled off from the extras of the movie set. And these guys kept flagging me and pointing their guns in my face. So there's a couple times where I'm just like, stop pointing that fucking shit in my face, right? And it was just because of the situations that they put us in and responding realistically to the situations that they put us in. So
you know what I wanted to ask you is, since we're talking about kind of the specifics of the film, and by the way, we'll get into what you're up to now, kind of your backstory. I'd love to hear all of that. But, watching that documentary that Jim Carrey did about how he became Andy Kaufman, or, the recent Elvis movie, how do you become someone else? I mean, do you have to live as Chris Peranto for a certain amount of time to be like, this is how I'm going to portray this in this movie perfectly?
No, I mean, in a situation like this where you're playing a real person, you have, from my perspective anyway, you have a responsibility to getting the story across in a way that feels realistic, but it wasn't like we were trying to, obviously I'm, 2 feet taller than him. My biceps are like way bigger and all that stuff. So. No, I'm just kidding. But it's, so we're not, it's not mimicry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's being asked to realistically believe that I'm him. What I'm being asked to do is bring the feeling of him, right? Like
Sure.
what is it that was unique about him in that experience? So we have responsibility to the actual events that happened and telling that story realistically and truthfully. And we have a responsibility to getting the essence of the person, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And for me, what was obvious about Chris almost immediately is his desire to have fun with people, his desire to poke fun at people. The ribbing is like, and that's why you see, like, I come in here and immediately I'm like busting his chops, right? Because that's who he is, right? That's our relationship, because that's not who I am. That's who he is. So I'm our relationship is that, because that was what we established in getting to know each other.
But it seems like you've taken some of that for yourself, maybe, just how all these experience we have shapes us into the person we are today.
Of course. I mean, as an actor, the reason I'm an actor is because I want to have the opportunity to live the most amount of life experience in the shortest amount of time that I can. Right. So it's the only job I could ever have where I get to be somebody different every few months. I get to learn. I mean, look at all the things I've done, right? Like the amount of training, military training that I've had for somebody who's never served, never enlisted. Like I've learned so much about weapons, about all this stuff that I would never have had the opportunity to do in any other thing other than joining the service and serving for a bunch of years, right? And I got to do it in a really tight, condensed period of time. Other things, like I've learned to fly a plane for a project when I played a pilot. It's just the amount of life skills that you get, and you don't become an expert at those things. Like I would never want to be thrown into a real battle like these guys were, right? Forget that shit. I don't want that. I don't want anybody shooting at me, but I can realistically play that because of the skills that I was given.
And that wraps it up. If you want to listen back to that Pablo Schreiber episode, which many of you already have, that's episode 228. And that is it for us. We'll be back next week, or I should say we'll see you in the new year. And peace to 2024 and 2025. We're welcoming the challenge and anticipating a freaking awesome year for us and for all of you.
That's all for this episode of Battleline Podcast. But we're always posting new content on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. That's an order. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes up every Tuesday. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. Believe in yourself. Face all challenges head on. And as always, never quit.